super excited to introduce our speaker today, my brother, our brother. He's an herbalist, a permaculturist, and co-owner of Zia Energetics Permaculture. Jesse Boudreau empowers others with his wisdom and mastery to seek a more healthful, integrated, holistic paradigm and lifestyle. Jesse, thank you for joining us, man. Just take it over, my brother.
My pleasure, Kyle. Great to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm really appreciating the collective, and I really appreciated that meditation. It's that was beautiful. And it's nice to connect in this way, in authenticity. So my favorite way.
Same.
But yeah, so I guess I'll give you a little bit of my backstory.
Hell yeah, man.
So I grew up in northern New Mexico, uh, where it's a huge cultural crossroads. It's a very pristine ecological environment, you know, and it's very beautiful. But lots of like all places, some sordid history weaved in there, you know, and I got to grow up in a place where 10,000 native people used to live in cave dwellings and stuff. And that really inspired my early life, just being able to touch base with that real earth culture and have, some connection with it, be able to go to the seasonal dances and watch as they, pray and give thanks, and that really inspired me when I don't know how it started or when, but basically from the time I was little, I wanted to be a natural person, you know. So I've been growing toward that ever since, luckily, you know, the tumult of teen years, but luckily the vision plants found me and they helped me heal through that and grow more into my knowing, you know, I had good words from people like my sister, like, oh, you like the plants, you should try meditation, you know, got me started early when I was like 18, you know. Um, so all these things just have been like things I've been chasing and pursuing because I need them. I think we all do. We all are, in greater fulfillment when we're in connection with nature and with each other. It's much more natural to a human being to be in this state of interbeing than to be in a ideation of separation, you know. So yeah, went to college and studied, some ethnobotany and philosophy and Sanskrit and stuff like that, enthused me. But I really had this heart wanting to work with the land, and luckily my folks supported me in that. And I went to a school called Ecoversity, which is a permaculture design school, like an expanded permaculture design school, and went to work right after that in a nursery, plant nursery that was all hip to native plants, and they had rammed earth cob permaculture buildings and rainwater harvesting, and just things started to lead to another. And so I've spent like the last 20 years designing and installing food forest, edible landscapes, native rainwater harvesting gardens and pollinator gardens in Santa Fe and, the surrounding area. And I'm really passionate about food and health and herbalism. I've been studying herbalism now for about 10 or 12 years. And all of this passion towards my health began because I just was having, like most people, difficulties. I had gluten intolerance and celiac sort of issues and lactose issues. And, in college, I ate lots of Taco Bell and all that kind of junk, and drank lots of beer and everything. And, it wasn't good for my soul and spirit. And so I started to grow out of that, with the loving sort of energy of my wife, kind of guiding me like, hey, let's get a Vitamix. Hey, try raw food, and had amazing healing experience through that. I started, sun gazing and meditating again after many years of not doing it, and being attentive to my diet because I was having issues, and everything just started changing rapidly. And I became acquainted with people like David Wolf and Daniel Vitalis and other people who are talking about rewilding and superfoods and wild plant medicine. And that started my journey into herbalism. So I've been studying herbalism, went to the School of Evolutionary Herbalism and studied medical astrology and Ayurveda and sort of traditional alchemy. And we've been teaching for the last 10 years here at our school, Homestead, where we demonstrate permaculture practice and cob building and, you know, food forest gardening, and also teach classes in herbalism and fermentation and take people on wild food walks and stuff. And it's just really been a lot of fun. It's been so cool. It's like I don't know, once you get started on this path, it's just like infectious. It just like grabs your whole being, you know. And so I'm super grateful to be able to have all these opportunities to experience all this stuff. And yeah, I've been experimenting with fasting and all manner of, as you know, sort of the breatharian path, which is just essentially the stacking of functional medicine. You know, so we know meditation has health benefits, and we know organic food has health benefits, and we know fasting has health benefits, and we know that time in the sun and grounding and, you know, all these things have benefits. So you just pile them on top of each other and you start to really build extraordinary health, to where I haven't been sick in more than 10 years with anything. So I'm super grateful for that. But got any questions or anything? I'll just move on.
No, we probably have a million questions. I know I have at least a million, but I'll ask two real quick. Could you go a little more into your fasting practice as well as the sun gazing, and just give us the benefits? Just whatever comes up.
Oh, for sure. So the breatharian experience, you know, a lot of people may have heard about this. It's coming on new and it's coming on strong. It's like veganism. It's going to become bigger because we're really beings of energy, and the mitochondria is powered by light, you know, and, you know, you're this electromagnetic dynamo. I think of, you know, your heart meditation, think of that as the 0-point energy device, and that the 0-point energy is love, you know, but you have to tune in, like we just did, to our heart field to be able to harmonize our field. The sun also does this for us. So all we have to do is the first hour or the last hour of the day, the sun rays are attenuated by the oblique angle that they hit the atmosphere. And so it's 0 to very low UV. It's very safe to look at. And that full spectrum sunlight stimulates the rods and cones in your eyes to process stress chemicals. It also stimulates your pineal gland because it's photosensitive, and will help decalcify your pineal gland, you know, from fluoridation and from sedentary lifestyle and etc. This also, you know, harmonizes your heart field, because the sun is the heart of in medical astrology, the sun is the heart of, and also in actual astronomy, the heart of our solar system, right? That golden center that you spoke of eloquently, you know, that's our sun, or our soul purpose. That's why it's solar, right? So by just simply gazing at the sun, you can have all these health benefits. You're receiving vitamin D that's improving your immunity. You're processing the stress chemicals through your rods and cones in your eyes. You're stimulating your pineal gland and attuning your heart field. And you kind of get the vibration of the day. Every day has its own tone and frequency, you know, based on the astrology, you know, where the sun is. So you can get kind of harmonized to the vibration of the day, harmonizing your own energy field in your own body through this practice. And it's really good to start little by little. They say, you know, 10 seconds the first day, 20 seconds the next day, 30 seconds, and always palming your eyes afterwards so that you can absorb the energy. So that's the fundamental basis of breatharian practice, is not so much just sun gazing, but meditation, sleep, exercise, proper relationships, so that, like, you know, you're not letting that person in who drains your energy, for instance. You're not exposing yourself to unnecessary stress. You know, It's about stress management and health management ultimately, you know. So this is something we're all, you know, capable of. It's all very natural to us, but it's like a skill set, like anything. You know, if you want to learn to play an instrument, for instrument, this is an instrument. Then you have to practice, you know. So, uh, so as for my fasting practice, right now, I just did a little while ago. I did 36 days of dry fasting 24 hours one day, and then refeeding, and then dry fasting 16 plus the next day, and refeeding on liquids, all liquids. Um, so I did like 17 days in that period where I had no food or water, you know, not counting the, you know, my dry fast between. So that was really the biggest showing I've offered to myself that I'm really starting to grow this inside of me. I have been on liquid diet for 4 years now, almost in February, and dry fasting 16 plus a day as my normative, like sort of schedule. And then refeeding on like superfoods, like the Purium drinks and, you know, fresh pressed juices and medicinal, you know, mushroom teas that I make, and, you know, broths and things like that. So it's really important to build it through fasting and feeding, refeeding, and not to just think breatharianism like just putting tape over your mouth, you know. But there's this human potential that we have, and once you empty the sort of the, you know, your furnace, your diaphragm, you can breathe diaphragmatically more naturally, and your body's at greater ease because it's not trying to digest all this stuff as well as work with your thoughts and stresses and stuff. So it's really a health path, and that's kind of a long-winded way to answer, but yeah.
No, dude, that was incredible, man. Thank you. That just was so informational, man. You're truly a such an awesome human being. So thank you. I'm gonna start practicing, you know, the sun gazing. But thank you. We'll open it up to see if anyone else has questions. I'm sure other people do. Just raise your hand, or you can press your Zoom hand. All right, I see. Joe's got a question. Go ahead, Joe.
Jesse, what's up, my brother?
Brother, yo.
Dude, so good to see you, man. So good to see you. Wow, man. 17 days. Dude, I've been dying to ask you about this. So can you explain what some of the experiences you went through, maybe psychologically, physically, what it felt like to do that? Because I mean, technically, when you think about what we've all learned growing up, that's somewhat inhuman. They tell us that we're not supposed to be able to live very long without water, and you've been able to do it for a very long time. So, what does that feel like, man? What does it feel like?
Oh man, it's great. You know, I'm addicted. I'm an energy junkie. That's the thing of it, is like you just start feeling better and better, and then you're like, where's the top? You know, like you keep feeling better and better and better. You know, it's just a thought form that we have to, you know, experience something otherwise. You know, so though that is true, we're beings of habit and comfort, you know, or joy, you know. So it's important to understand that as part of this process. One of your fuels is joy, you know,
Mm.
or things you like, service, you know, things that are fulfilling to you, that sense of I felt incredible while I was fasting. I started off doing, I was going to go, my friend Devon is another breatharian, and he was going to do a 30-day dry fast the whole time. He did 7. I came on, you know, I was like, oh, he's doing it. I'm going to level up. I haven't done some growth, you know, for myself for a while. And so I chose, you know, to do that with the timing of the conjunction. Um, so I watched him start, and after 7 days, he was kaput. I started in on my second day. I was starting to feel it because I've done as many as 4 dry fasted, but it is this thing of energy management. I have, you know, 3 kids. I have a farm. I have 3 businesses. You know, I have to be able to manage my energy in the midst of that, you know. So I started with 2 days, and the other thing is like I'm cooking all the time, you know, all those things, all those triggers from your past, like the smells and things like that, red chili cooking on the stove, like, you know, you have to like train yourself out of, but you also have to be gentle with yourself and like, you know, be allowing. So I went those 2 days, and I had this really great experience where I felt like a quark for a minute, for just 1 minute. But then it started to get hard. And so I was like, I know this is my body telling me, and this is something I advise all my, you know, students, you know, people, you know, working with health and healing, as your body knows what you need, and, you know, learning to honor your body and what it's telling you, you know. So it started to be hard. So I decided to refeed, and then I felt great. I was like, I'm going back in. And I realized if I did every other day, I could have this refeed cycle. And there's this psychological part of like being connected with my family. They're all eating, they're all making stuff, and I'm over here in the corner reading a book, you know, like you have to honor the realness, you know what I mean? So that gave me that peace. And something, you know, my teacher had brought to mind of the different phases sort of in yoga of a person's life, where you're like in your education years, and that's where you're eating stuff and you're trying stuff you should. That's when you're trying to experience the world. Then you get into your householder years, you know, I'm still in my householder years. Then you get into your, you know, like your renunciate years or your forest years, where you get to really delve into your own heart, your own soul. You raised up your kids, you did stuff for your community, you know. So I'm still in that phase of householder where I feel very much a responsibility at this time, particularly, to do everything I can to heal as many people and as much of the planet as possible. But so yeah, it was like, it was really, really amazing. And I just thought I was going to keep going. It felt, because I had this great cycle, and I got to like 37 days and something hit, and it was like, I'm binging on liquids now. Like, and I'm still there where I've had a few 20s and, you know, 17s, but the dry fast part isn't so much important. A big part of it is this is a consciousness thing, and this is a mentality, you know, sort of, and a lifestyle. So it's something, you know, that you want to be able to comfortably continue doing, you know. So you just stretch it little by little. Like this started for me, like I got into raw food, and that was way less calories, you know, than I was taking before, you know. And then I tried to fast a little bit here and there, juice fast, little water fast, you know. And then I found that I just wasn't hungry for breakfast after a while, you know. And then I found I was very hungry for lunch, you know, after a while. And all the while I'm doing like the sun gazing, the meditation, the qigong, you know, grounding. I spend, you know, all my days in a garden, my garden, someone else's garden, or in the forest with my feet bare on the ground, you know. And I have this whole, you know, teaching I like to share about your beings of the 4 elements of earth, wind, fire, and water. And these are what build you, you know. So your time when you're outside connected with the earth, your hands in the garden or your bare feet on the earth, you're actually absorbing probiotic, you know, and you're being physically grounded electromagnetically, you know, and you're absorbing ions from the earth, you know. So this is actual energy. This is actual immunity, and those probiotics are actual food, you know. It's like, it sounds woo because it's all invisible, but this is happening, you know. And then, you know, being a fire, you need that sunlight on your skin, in your eyes, you know. It's healing. The infrared heals mitochondria. So that's why the infrared saunas are so, you know, hip. Let's see, the water, you know, really good water as best as you can, you know, filtered or spring water or the living water in plants. You know, things like cucumbers and stuff like that are mostly water. So that's a lettuce, you know, lots of things. And then earth, fire, water, wind, breath work, of course, you know. So, and you can get this, you know, there's also the quality of breath. and different ways that you can have a different quality of breath. So if you're out in the mountains or you're by a river, if you're nose breathing, we habituate to mouth breathing. But when you nose breathe, you get nitric oxide, which is a better oxygen. It's conditioned too, and it's cleaner. So, you know, habituating to nose breathing, while you're exercising, while you're cooking, So that's sort of the path. And then I see how this all interrelates also with the land and land care and site design, because the earth itself is a being and we're a being of it. And it's all of these, alchemical, constituents that come together that form all of us, So, yeah.
Thank you, Joe, for that question. Thank you, Jesse, for that answer. That was awesome. Who else wants to ask Jesse a question here? Let's see. Oh, Ashley. Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, Jesse. Am I unmuted yet?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good, because I'm so bad at tech, you know that. So this is awesome. This is like just what I have an acre that I moved into, and I didn't like it. It had some really bad energy, and I just fought it for years and years. And I finally okay, I have to heal this land. And actually, it was sort of the journey where I found the quantum healing group when COVID hit last year. And I was just like, fine, And then when COVID hit, I'd been looking for a small farm, but in our area, that was just prohibitive. And so I said, that's it. I'm going to permaculture forest my land. And this fall, winter, I've been taking down all the crap trees in the tree line and I'm just psyched on it. I'm so stoked. It's just, my husband's been in the industry. I don't know if you're familiar with Longwood Gardens or stuff on the East Coast. Anyway, he's in the public garden industry, and but he's behind a desk, and I've never been I can't stand being inside. I train horses for a living, and so this is a new adventure. I got my composting and my chickens and my, it's awesome. So hearing you talk and any resources you could send my way. I'm going to be foraging for pawpaw trees in the spring and having fun.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I love to hear that. It's to me, it's one of the greatest joys.
It is. It is. Just again, like I said, it wasn't my ideal land. And I was like, oh, find that place. And I was like, what am I doing? 6 years, I could have my forest by now. So it's just blueberries and yeah, I am. I'm stoked on it. It'll be a lot of fun. And it's funny because the neighbors too, when you start correcting land, people notice, so this summer people are like, oh, I love the way you're taking back the front, or I love the way you're doing this. And my chickens are the neighborhood, ambassadors. They run down the road and go across the street and everybody loves them, which is shocking because I do have a rooster too. But it just feels so much better. I mean, that connection, I've always been more connected to land and animals than I have people. But this is the most authentic group of people I think I've ever come across.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's great. Like I said, if you have any resources,
Yeah.
I mean, I have resources, but I don't have anybody right here who's you should do this and that. I've got Longwood Gardens, who literally actually lived there for 18 years. I looked over the idea garden, as a matter of fact. But nobody here does that. Everything's well, actually people are. There's a guy in New Jersey. And so I watch YouTube a lot. That's my go-to right now.
YouTube University is fantastic. I have learned so many things over the years and grown so much through that. Even growing into the breatharianism thing, that came through me connecting with teachers on YouTube and just, absorbing, how mind manifests. The more you concentrate on it, the more it starts to ingrain and become part of your thought process and your life. So I really suggest one teacher I'd really suggest is Jeff Lawton, and that's Geoff Lawton, Lawton, and he's just a really great permaculture teacher. He's in Australia, but the concepts that he shares are illustrative everywhere. They're across all continents. You can apply these things of from site design of being attentive to your zones, being attentive to your flows, um, and then you know doing your plant selection and your soil, thing. It all uh, the plant selection is regional. Everything else, translates. So I I missed that. Sorry.
Oh, I think she might be muted. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ashley.
Yeah.
you go. It's good that I've been there for 6 years because now I know where all the water goes. I know, I mean, again, I could have jumped in and like did all that right away, and I probably would have done a lot wrong. So actually being able to watch the water flow and know where to put stuff and know, what grows back naturally and what doesn't, kind of thing. So yeah.
That's a super good point. That's because that's a huge part of permaculture, and I just think it's a huge part of the condition is to be observer, you know, pardon, to just observe the different flows and how they move, through your site, and then you know how to better work with it,
Yeah.
So, and
Cool.
sometimes challenging site, some of the permaculture designers I'm into are like, give me the hardest thing, like just because I
Interesting. Yeah.
show that
So,
these things will work,
Right,
in the
right.
environment. So it's really, it just did. I don't know if anyone's seen that movie, Kiss the Ground. If not, I highly suggest it. It's about this whole collective conundrum we're in with respect to the toxicity we're putting out and global warming. We can have global drawdown. The trouble is more to do with tillage of soil than anything. And so if we can move over to regenerative agriculture, no-till methods, and carbon sequestration through food forests, in our cities and parks and in our, fields, and we can do what's called drawdown, not just like um, carbon reduction, but get the carbon out of the air and put it in the ground and in plants. Um, so that's a really powerful movie. And in the end, they check out this place in the Lewis Plateau. And maybe I won't give too many spoilers, but they rehabilitate, just to make a point, they rehabilitate an area the size of Belgium, I think it is, from completely denuded, desertified land into a massive food forest that has totally brought the area out of economic desperation. So we forget that our abundance is our biological abundance. We think of our monetary systems and our technological systems and our energy systems, but that's all from nature. All of the products, all of the energy, all the resources come from nature. So we need to replenish and resupply. As high beings of a higher consciousness on this planet, we should be forward thinking to that degree, and that we're planting out forests and stuff into the future for people to harvest wood and for there to be food and etc. And there's examples of like 2,000-year-old food forests in places like Morocco that have been under continuous cultivation for that whole time with minimal effort. And there's examples. There was a paper I read when I went to permaculture school that was scientifically vetted, that essentially the rainforest in the Amazon was created by indigenous people, because it's all sand underneath, and they would make these midden piles and inoculate them with this inoculant and then grow out their favorite food trees, and it just grew. Same in Northern Europe, they found massive forests that were created by people. So that's part of I believe this is part of our function, as gardeners of the planet. And it has health, as I was just saying, it has health benefits for us by simply being a gardener. You're getting exercise, good oxygen, sunlight, probiotic, like, fresh food. It's all there available to you, so it's, it's a fulfilling life path, and I'm like here to try to seed as many gardeners as possible and life cultivationists, so that even if you're just growing some food in a pot for yourself, you have this connection of nurturing life. It's a different vibration than just being a consumer. We're creators, not consumers. So
Yeah, man, you're definitely planting incredible seeds right now. It's clear like you're authentic and just pure. Could you tell us about some of the offerings at Zia Energetics, so maybe we could support you a little if possible?
thank you. Yeah. It's just to be clear, it's Zia Energetics. Zia is the sun symbol of New Mexico, and it's the Zuni. It's a Zuni symbol of meaning, and I put it there in this whole thing of energetics, of like the sun gazing and the energy in plants, the biophotons, and etc. What we do, we offer classes, and I'm going to be doing some on Zoom in the upcoming in the future of, like I was saying, fermentation, herbalism, permaculture design, etc. We also offer herbal products on Etsy, so you can look up Zia Herbs on Etsy and purchase any of our, like we have make tonic tinctures and stuff to tone the different organ systems and different salves and things. We also distribute per am. We're all about getting those high quality organic superfoods into people. So I'm definitely about sharing that. And then we also do design and installation for people's home gardens and stuff. So that's the services we offer. Consultation too. I'll do health consultations, breatharian consultations, or as well as I can remote permaculture consultations. But it's really best to be on site and be connected with the elements there and observe them. So
Awesome.
I'm more ready to doing that.
Thank you, my brother. And Joe in the comments said the pine pollen is fantastic. So some of our members love your products already. Who else has a question for Jesse? We got time for a couple more, I think. Hold on. If anyone sees anyone with a hand up, just let me know. I'm usually pretty bad at this.
I got my hand up.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah. Jesse, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. It's wonderful to talk to you. I feel really, really grateful. I have a few questions. I hope if you will maybe answer them. The first, I'd love to ask you about your bracelets. Are those copper?
Yes.
Can you tell me? I'm sure they have more of a meaning than just being decorative. And I know a little bit about copper, so I'd love to know if you don't mind.
It's this whole thing of,
Yeah.
electricity, my energy.
Yeah.
Like a battery has copper. You want to get one on each wrist, wherever you're going to have it, or each ankle, or because otherwise you'll imbalance your body. So it's just for magnetism, yeah, and electricity. Everything I wear is for meaning. I also have a mala. This is, I'm a Buddhist, and this is my birthstone, the red coral, because I'm an Aries. And so I wore a sandalwood mala for years, and I was working with one of my students, and she worked with stones, and she was like, "I'd like to test you with some stones." And we tested, blindfolded. You hold it, and you sort of tell them what you feel, and she knows the Vedic and the Western sort of forget what they call it, gemotherapy. I think that's it. Maybe that's not. Maybe that's something else. But whatever the case, she was like, I really resonated with the red coral. With my eyes closed, I could feel it, and she was telling me the sandalwood was too stimulating for me because I'm a quadruple Aries. Of my Aries, I have my sun, my moon, my Mercury, and my Venus in Aries.
Wow.
So, I'm a little overstimulated.
A little fiery. Wow.
My wife is like super Pisces, and it's like she's like my medicine.
That's cool. Thank you. I wonder if you've ever have you thought about in New Mexico you probably don't have to think about this a whole lot, but in a different climate, I'm in northern Vermont, and I really I'm really, you know, wanting, it's so funny. I remember that I used to tell my friends when I was a kid that I was born from a root of a tree. It just came up in recent weeks because, you know, I've always been in love with the earth, but like it's like accelerating lately in especially particularly in the last year. I mean, just literally like I'm having a love affair with, like, you know, the earth, and it's just like, it's like nothing I've ever felt, and it's just so incredible. And you know, I've been working with manifestation and whatever to try to, you know, to move myself to a place where I can, you know, I can seriously be in community and just, you know, spend the rest of my, you know, my life, you know, being a steward, because I, you know, I don't have a lot of opportunity to do it in the situation I'm in. So the question I would like to ask, I have a lot to learn and I've just started, would be like, in a winter climate, like what, you know, I just, because all of the stuff that you're talking about, you know, about, or some of the things like the sun gazing and the grounding, and, you know, I participate in all those things. And in the winter, I'm in here with my sun lamp, and, you know, and I do, you know, and I go out and I do stuff in the woods, but it's different. Like I feel like I can't feel into her as much, you know, the sun doesn't shine here, you know, for 6 days at a time, like, you know. So I want, and in terms of permaculture too, in terms of like, you know, what would you do if you're trying to be self-sustaining? I mean, literally you would have to just store up everything, I guess, for the winter, and just, I mean, I don't know. Do you have any ideas about that sort of thing?
Yes, it becomes a lifestyle. We're very much disconnected from our lifestyle, and we get very cold winters here too. Sometimes it gets as cold as -30 or 40.
Ooh.
So, and we'll have, you know, I remember a snowstorm when I was a kid where it was snowed 5 feet deep. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So it's changed. The weather has changed. It's not been that way for a while.
Yeah.
But we still get regular snows, and we had, you know, icy stuff. So as a homesteader, and, you know, being a permaculturalist and an herbalist, I've been, you know, sort of on a low income range, you know. That's been part of what augments our income, is all the food we grow, all the things we gather. You know, it's part of our practice. We've made a priority because we wanted to live this way. And so I get, you know, big cans of beans, or big bags of beans and stuff, and I put them down in the root cellar, where I also have my peaches stored, and my apricots, and my fruits, and my, you know, wildcrafted dried mushrooms and dried greens, and like all this stuff that I trove up, you know. And then during the winter, you know, I also drove up money, you know. And then during the winter, we kind of hang out a lot more, you know, and just like cook and eat and read, and, you know, in the natural lifestyle, in natural time, that would be what you do. Your energy goes more, literally goes more inward into your internal organs, you know. And it's time to just, you know, sort of rest and hibernate to a large degree. So, but but every place has food year round. Every Nature is always like offering herself. So even, you know, the bark of trees like pine or birch, or, you know, a poplar, you can, you know, gather that inner bark. You know, it's good to start getting acquainted. I would encourage everyone to get acquainted with at least one wild edible, if not many, you know, because um, a lot of the gardening's been done for you, you know, by nature. And if you like are in appropriate relationship with taking and harvesting methods, and, you know, you can actually garden the resource and make it better, you know, and make it more robust and healthier. But, you know, and so you adopt sort of that mind frame as you're going to wildcraft foods and stuff. And so, you know, I definitely feel that too. Like, I'm definitely like a sun being. You know, as a quadruple Aries, like, I love when spring comes on, and summer and fall, like, I'm just going nonstop. And then winter comes, and I, you know, do almost nothing. I'll go snowboarding. I still like walk around and do plenty with my business and my family, but I like that vibration of like sit by the stove and read a book and sip some tea, and, you know, sort of settle into your, because if it's kind of like our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, you really have to flex both. You can't be in fight or flight all the time, and you can't be lax all the time. You know, you have to be able to go back and forth. And so there's that. With respect to your question about like sun gazing and stuff, I've, you know, experienced that too, though we get a lot of sun days here, but when it's cold, you don't want to go out so much, but you can get the benefit still just looking through a window and having your, you know, self in the sun in the window. It's reduced, but you'll definitely, still absorb, some of that silicate.
That's great. What do you think, or like, in terms of like not being able to consume, fresh like greens and stuff? I mean, I guess you could grow them inside, but like nutritionally for the body, I don't know, I'm unclear about that. Like, having that period of time in the winter where you're not getting the fresh greens and you're not getting, the
So that's key. What native people would do would gather greens and dry them.
dry them.
And then you can just, throw them in your stew or throw them in your, what have you. Aquarium is a great way. There's also sprouting, as you
Yep.
mentioned. You can just have seeds that you soak and sprout in the window, and you'll get, lots of chlorophyll and super dense nutrients.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Also, like we make, kimchi and
Kimchi.
sauerkraut, and you can make ferments out of, like, you can make lacto fermented salsa or guacamole, or you can do almost anything.
Mm.
And you have that folate and that, some of that nutrient you need kind of encapsulated with probiotic, for winter.
Great.
So,
Okay. That's great. Thank you very much. I took a course this summer, actually, an actual in-person course. Oh, hooray! It was a edible wild edibles, and there's a school about an hour and a half from me called the Root School. A little, so that was very exciting. I've got Newcomb's Wild Guide, and I've got a whole bunch of things, and I'm starting, but it takes a lot of time. Like, I didn't realize how difficult it was to, like, to look at the plant. And you have to. It's not like you can see a picture and you're like, oh, you have look at the leaf, and then does it fit this category, and does it fit this category, and it definitely is going to take learning for sure, but I'm excited. It's going to happen. And my last question would be, do you incorporate any kind of sacred geometry or any kind of shape, stuff like that, into your design, into your gardening?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Spirals, sinuing lines. Mother Earth isn't shaped like this.
Yeah.
You actually get more out of a curved line in terms of cultivable space than you can out of a straight line. It's actually a longer line. So I use a lot of curvature, and I usually follow the rhythms of the land in rainwater harvesting to define the shapes. But we've also done like spiral rainwater harvesting food gardens, where the water is running off the path down into the spiral, and it's irrigated, and you grow food in there instead of, like, a little box with straight lines. So it also invites you. It's more like a labyrinth where you go in and you go out, and it invites you to sort of be more in a meditative way.
I assume you found ways to do all this stuff, because I think one of the most intimidating parts about this is, like, where's the money? Like, where are you going to buy all the equipment and whatever? But I feel like I bet you found ways to do it pretty, low budget, or.
Most of what I do is handwork. I
Yeah.
carved up my whole acre here with swales and aquaculture swales and berms, all in sinuing lines, for my food forest and ponds and everything. I just a shovel.
Just a shovel.
Yeah, people can
Awesome.
do a lot of dirt. You'd be surprised,
Good.
And it's a fitness. It's fitness.
Yeah.
Also, so, I don't ever have to go to the gym. I get plenty of exercise. And that's the way I like to do it. In a playful way, like playing in a garden or going snowboarding, or, like, I don't really want to go, like, doesn't appeal to me as much.
Oh, awesome. Well, I will be looking out for your classes and stuff. But thank you so much for answering all my questions. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Angela. That was awesome. And thank you, Jesse, for your responses. Does anyone else have a question before we say our closing prayer here?
Ashley again. Ashley.
Oh, sweet. Go ahead, Ashley.
I wanted to respond to Angela because we live in southeastern Pennsylvania. There's, like 6 to 8 inches of snow here. It's supposed to be 14 next week. But there's watercress in the creeks. There's chickweed underneath the snow, like in the shade. There's mushrooms growing on the trees. I love this time of year because I like walk around going, I could survive. I could survive. So there's always stuff to eat. So it's pretty cool.
I love that.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Those are two powerhouse foods too. Chickweed and watercress. There's things like that that everyone knows a dandelion, right?
Right.
A dandelion is a complete food unto itself. If you eat the root, the leaves, the flowers, and the seeds, you have all the omegas, starches, minerals, and everything your body needs.
Mm. That was very incredible, man. I wish you all the blessings in the world, brother. Like straight up. I hope your message gets out there because you did something. This meeting did something to me, definitely, where you inspired me to take action. And I hope that everyone felt that. Truly, man, if any opportunities come my way and for you to get the word out, I'll make sure I reach out to you. But what we do now is we dedicate the merits of all this incredible energy you just built up in a little prayer. So we dedicate the merit of this meeting to all those awakening at this precious time. May our efforts to better ourselves help shift the planetary consciousness from fear into love. May this energy ripple out into the world and awaken those with closed hearts, illuminate closed minds, and inspire all to live within the presence of compassion and generosity. Thank you all. This was an incredible meeting, man. Thank you so much, Jesse. You're a good man. And I love everyone here. I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks all. Take care.
Thank you very much. Good to see everyone. Thank you, Jesse.
Love you guys.
Thank you,
Yes.
Jesse. That was awesome.
Have a great day.
Love
Thank you
y'all.
so much, Jesse. That was awesome, brother.
Oh man, you guys are great. I too. Love
Cool,
you.
man.
Okay.
Hey, so I'll send you this recording, man. You can spread the word.
Okay, that
All
sounds
right,
good.
my dude. I love you, brother.
All right, you too, Kyle. Good to see you. Bye, Joe. Bye, everyone. Angela, much love.